Hi everyone, it's Jean and I'm back to share some mixed media gems with you today. So what I would like to do is I would like to create a zine with you. And you may ask, what is a zine? Well, for the longest time, I didn't know, but it is a little booklet that you can use to add photos, fodder, images, whatever you'd like to. And the great thing is you create this zine by yourself, or I shouldn't say well, of course you're doing it by yourself, duh, but you create it yourself so you can be in control of how you want your zine to look or to turn out in the end. It's a lot like creating a mixed media master board. So if you've ever done that, you will know what I'm talking about. But today I want to use a few products that I haven't used before. For example, I have, they're called Masterclass pastels, and what they are like chalk pastels. They're not the oil kind, and I just got these off of Amazon. I don't remember how much they cost, but they weren't very expensive. Pastels usually aren't, unless you buy the pan pastels, which are a little bit more expensive. So the first thing I'm going to do is, this is watercolor paper, and this is the larger size. I think it's, let me see what size it is real quick in case you want to get it. I get these at Walmart. It's the Grumbacher, and it's an 11 by 15 piece. And the great thing about having a larger piece is that if you don't want to use the whole thing for your project and you want to cut this down into smaller pieces, you can. And you can use it, for example, you can cut it here, use this part as a journal cover, use this part as ATCs, or whatever you want. Today we're creating a zine. I used to call them a zine, and I was like, what in the world is that? So a zine is like the word magazine with the word MAGA taken off. So it is like a little magazine, but it's done with artistic elements and with paper and things that an artist would use. So I'm going to start with some lighter colors, some more neutral colors. I like, my palette is more of a, I would say like a wildflower type palette. I don't know how this will turn out, if that's red, or if that is supposed to be a green, but we'll try those to start out with. So I'm going to wet my paper just a little bit because this is watercolor paper, and I want these to react to the water. So I'm going to use, this is just a little X-Acto knife. It's not super sharp, but it'll be sharp enough to shave off some pieces here on the page. So I'm just going to shave off some of the green first. And this is a very big piece of paper, so I'm going to try to make sure I get all the edges, since we'll be making this into a zine. So there's the green. And now I'm going to add I'm going to try this color. I'm not sure if it's orange or if it's red or pink. It doesn't say. I'm adding less of this one than I am of the green. Because if you're thinking about like a wildflower garden, you're going to definitely have more green than you are going to have other colors. So I'm just going to add the purple. And I don't know if I see any of this reacting to the water yet, but we're going to try it out. So let me try those colors first. And I'm going to take a paintbrush, and it's slightly damp, and I'm just going to see what happens when I add more water to this. So as you can see, this is going to start reacting to the water, and you're going to get these pretty colors. So I don't want to make mud, so I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm going to concentrate mainly on the red, and then red and green can make mud. So if you want it to look like the flower garden, we're going to have to take the green and move it around separately. And I'm just tapping this. I've never done this before, so this is kind of an experiment for me. So we'll see. I'm not, 100% sold on the end result, but we will see how some other things react to this. So after adding the pastels, I want to add some white. And the white that I'm going to use is my gesso. And I like using gesso because it covers very well the area that you want to, oh, let me see what's going on here. My gesso bottle is all stopped up. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. That's interesting. It never had the plastic taken off. So I'm just gonna pour some on here. And I don't want a whole lot. And you can get a whole lot if you're not careful. Gesso is mostly a product used to prep your pages. And it also helps to lay down a layer that will protect your page so that it's not getting so, how do I want to say? So it's not getting so saturated. When you start putting on color and you start putting on other things in your work, you're going to notice that you're going to get a saturation of your paper. And you can dry it in between, or you can continue to work on a wet surface. So this is, I like how the white is mixing with the, mixing in with the paints that we used and really kind of muting those out. The pastels. I like that better than using the pastels by themselves. So often I use my hands when I'm spreading gesso, just because then I can get it in the places that I want it to be. So, and gesso dries pretty quickly. Let me wipe off my hands. But it is damp today, so I may run a heat tool over it. Just a moment. Yes, I'm loving this muted look much better. Not as much muddiness coming from it. So that was a good choice, I think. Let me find my heat gun. So I'm just going to dry this a tiny bit. Sorry about the noise. But I'm going to be layering on afterward some tissue paper. So I want this to be kind of dry because I will be using gel medium. So I'm going to introduce you today to a lot of different products that maybe you don't use on a regular basis or may not have access to. The pastels, if you don't have them, you can actually use chalk. So if you have a Dollar Tree or something like that in your area where you can get colored chalks, or if the kids have any left over, grab a couple pieces of those and you can use colored chalk. For the gesso, you can also use white paint. So when I use a product, I will tell you the alternative that you can use that will cost you less money or be a replacement if you don't have the same thing. Okay, that's still a little bit shiny, but it's drier than it was, so there were some thick areas. Okay, thank you for bearing with me through that. Let me go ahead and put my chalks back. And I'll set these over here. Okay, so now we have a page that's a little bit more muted, and you're seeing some of that red, the green show through on top of the gesso, and it's pretty much dry. A little bit's picking up. But the next thing I want to use is some tissue paper. Now, this is tissue paper from Tim Holtz, so it's going to look a little bit different because it's going to have people in it or other elements. So I'm going to use a couple pieces of this, and the first one I want to use is this one over here. Let me wash off my brush so we can use it for the gel medium. So this is called Gel Soft Matte, and it's by Golden. You can also get it from Liquitex as well, and Liquitex is really one of my favorite brands, but Golden is also very good. So it's just whatever you prefer. I honestly, when I'm doing this kind of work where I'm adding tissue paper, I don't see as much of a difference between the two. So if you use it or don't use it, that's certainly up to you. Okay, so what I do is I lay down a layer of the gel medium. It doesn't have to be thick. It doesn't have to saturate, because this is so light. As soon as you lay it down, it's pretty much going to adhere. Now, if you're fussy about wrinkles or things like that, the gel medium does allow you to lift that up and reposition it. It's easier with tissue paper than it would be with, let's say, napkins. So if you don't have tissue paper with images on it, if you get a package from a friend for a holiday or a special occasion and they put tissue paper in your package, the yellow, the green, the polka dot, the blue, whatever color it is, you can save those pieces of tissue and you can use those. And actually they're really fun to use because they are colored. So you'll be able to color, control the color that you want for your project by using those different sheets. Let me reposition this one because it's hanging over long. I wanted to get... Now, if you don't like, let's say you would have a tissue paper or something that would have a print on it, and you just want to tear out the individual prints. For example, I could have torn out just the Ferris wheel, just the number 77, and not use the people. But I really think this is going to be a great addition to our page. So I'm going to put a little piece over here. Now, usually when you're adding tissue paper or you're adding napkin, you would want to add in odd numbers, and the reason being is because the eye just kind of travels much better to an odd number. See, that's not sticking because there's no medium under here. So let me put some down and then lay this back down. Hopefully it doesn't stick to itself. And let me see if it'll lay down now. Okay, we got a little fold there, but that's okay. What is causing that not to want to stick? Okay, let's get going here. So if they rip, if they wrinkle, don't worry about that because that adds actually to the uniqueness of the piece. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, that's one piece. So let me just tear another small piece. And whoopsie daisy. I'm going to lay it right here to cover some of this. And I just took off the piece that had some writing and some birds. So it's very light, not super noticeable, but looks great. So the key to adding the tissue paper, first of all, is to make sure that you put a layer of the gel medium underneath and then lay the tissue paper on the top and then again go over the top of it. So let's say you don't have any gel medium. What can you use? Some people like to use Mod Podge, but I will tell you, for example, on a day like today where it's damp, that Mod Podge is going to take longer to dry. And when it does dry, it may still have a sticky feeling. That happens to me whether it's a damp day or if it's a hot day, dry day. So that's why I steer away from Mod Podge, because of the stickiness, even when you get the matte Mod Podge, because it comes in shiny and matte. So what you can use instead is some PVA glue, like Elmer's glue. You can squeeze some of this into your bowl, spray in a few spritz of water, and stir it until they mix, and you get a nice kind of runny consistency. With that, you can then add on your tissue paper. You can put your layer on the bottom, and you can put your layer on the top, and you have a really beautiful coverage with that glue mixture. No need to run out and buy gel medium or any of the medium products, because you can simply mix your school glue. It doesn't have to be Elmer's. It can be any school glue. And you mix it with your spritzes of water. And if you pour in just a little bit at a time in a shallow bowl or cup or something, that lid that you can keep, then you're not storing a large amount that can potentially grow mold or something like that. So I don't create large amounts for the simple purpose that I don't want to have an issue with having that being stored so long and then never using it. So the next thing I'm going to use, and to add just a little bit of color to this, is this is kind of like a jelly print that I made. However, I don't have a gel plate. I used a different kind of plate. So you can use, if you don't have a jelly plate, I mean, don't think that's your only option. You can use a piece of cardboard, and that's what I did with this one. Actually, I used a piece of cardboard, and I love the result I got because it showed the ridges in the cardboard. So if you don't have jelly plate to print with, just use pieces of cardboard, use your brush, and create your jelly print. So that's what works for me. So I'm hoping to get a jelly plate soon. I had one, but I don't know what happened to it. So there's that. So I love this because it's adding in some color. And I just want to add some pieces in different places so we have some color on our page. Add some right here, the top. I love these colors. You will find when you're doing projects like this that you may gravitate towards certain colors. Right now, the colors that I like are the pinks and the oranges together. I think they make a really cool effect. And this particular piece has, if you look at it closely, you can see that it has some elements of orange in it. I'm sorry, purple in it. Of course it has orange. It's orange and pink. Okay. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to add a couple more pieces just because I love this paper. And as you can see, I have added them in different directions. So some may go up and down, some may go sideways. And the reason is because when we eventually fold this, we want to be able to have a piece of this pretty much on each of our squares. Okay, do I have any more of this? Very small pieces. So let me see if I can get a couple more pieces. This is such a large canvas that I'm working on. You know, it just feels like it needs the color. So, oops. Now, another thing is you don't have to tear these in, as you can see from mine, in like even sizes. You can cut these if you'd rather and have them all be geometrically correct. But I think for a collage, having wonky torn pieces is really the way to go. So just me, because my brain is a little wonky too. Okay, I am loving that. I love, love, love these colors. Okay, so we need to let this dry. Then we're going to use some, I'm possibly going to use some sprays on this. So I need to let this dry. I just found another piece of this orange that I can salvage. And I'm going to put it down here. And I need to see if there's, oh yes. Yes, yes, there's another small piece that I can put right here. Now, another thing about your PVA glue or your gel medium, your PVA glue mixture, is that it can be used as an adhesive throughout your whole process. So if you are, like I used it for putting down these pieces of paper, you can also use it for if you're going to do a whole masterboard with all different papers, you can certainly do that. So let me dry this and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm back, and hopefully this is dry enough that we can continue. So what I like to do next is add some type of paint or spray or something that will give it a little bit more color. We have the orange and the pink, so I think I'm going to stay kind of within those color schemes. Now this is, I've never used these before, so we will see how these turn out. They are Tim Holtz Distress Spritz, and they match, of course, all of his Distress colors. This is Worn Lipstick, and this is one of my favorite colors that he has come out with as far as in his distressed products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to tilt this just a little bit so that you can see. I'm going to spray near the top, and this is going to be a shimmer. So hopefully you can see the shimmer, and it's not running a whole lot. I thought maybe it would. Let me try a little bit more, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you take your spritz, any kind of spritz that you want to use, and you spritz it along the top edge, in most cases, it will run. So you can see how it runs down the side, and it also gives you a really pretty edge. Now, since this is going to be a piece that we are going to end up folding, I'm going to do that along the other edge, but I'm going to use another color that matches our theme here. So we have like a cream color, a peachy color. I don't know if I have an orange. That's green. Oops, sorry. That one is raspberry, so that one's not going to work. The walnut stain, I have tried that. Okay, we'll use the peeled marmalade. Oh, no, it's called spice marmalade. Pardon me. I don't like marmalade. If you like marmalade, leave me a comment. If you don't like marmalade, tell me your favorite jelly flavor. Now, okay, so this comes out because it's sparkly. It's coming out as almost like a copper. So the spice marmalade gives you a coppery feel. Really, really nice. So I love how it runs and creates some color on top of the white of the tissue paper. So let me turn it back this way. And that's going to be really pretty. We need to, and I'm considering this, you know, this, it has a tiny bit of purple in it. I'm not sure if I have a purple. Let me see. Because I could just spray. Yeah, I have some Wilted Violet. Let me open it if I can. Wilted Violet. Now, if you do get these spritzes, remember they're not a stain. They're just a spritz. So what that means, as opposed to the Dilutions ink spray, these are ink. So they're going to give a darker appearance. When you're doing these are just basically spritzing some distress color. I'm just going to do a little bit because there's only a tiny bit of purple. Now, that comes out, let me see a little bit closer. Okay, it comes out as purple. It's pretty. When you first spray it, you think it's going to be muddy, but it's not. Okay, let me dry these. These will dry really quick, and then we can move on to doing some stenciling. Okay, that dries super quick, and I'm just going to bring this up a little bit and show you how that shimmers, especially on the bottom here. Now let's talk about what do you do if you don't have some fancy distress spray or ink spray. What you can do, this works really well, is to take some acrylic paint, which acrylic paint is very inexpensive. You can get a bottle of acrylic paint at at Walmart for like 50 cents, 60 cents. So let's say you wanted to make some of this for yourself. What you could do is get a cheap eyeshadow palette, match the eyeshadow to the color of the project. Let's say you're going to use a pink, then you want to make sure you use a pink or some type of iridescent colored makeup. And that way you are getting, and you put it in the spray bottle with your ink. You put your paint in your spray. Let me back up. Okay. If you would like to make your own distress spritz or ink spray with sparkle in it, you need a cheap makeup pad, and you need water in a spritz bottle, and you need the color of paint that you want. So let's say you have some iridescent or pink acrylic paint. You pour that into your spritz bottle, you fill it with some water, and you start shaking it until that is mixing together. And once it mixes together, then you can add your eyeshadow. So you want to take a little knife or something and just press out the eyeshadow into your spritz bottle. You would shake all that up really, really well until it comes out of the spray bottle in a nice, even spray. And when you do that, you're going to notice that the spray will have a shimmer to it because you've added the eyeshadow. Because the basically what's going on with these spritzes is that they're putting mica in them. And mica is also an element that is available in makeup. So here we are. I have chosen just this small stencil. I want to stencil some of the writing and just get a little hint of something going on in the background that looks like print. This stencil is very small as far as the print is concerned, so you're not going to get a super duper coverage. Super duper coverage. Super duper. So as you can see with mixed media, when you're making a collage, masterboard, background, whatever you call it, there are a lot of steps involved. And you can stop at any of the steps, but to me, the more you add, the more interest it shows. And then when we fold this up at the end, it's going to be this really cool, really, really cool page. So I added some blue in here, and I think that looks really nice. I'm going to get a different stencil, and let me see which one I want to use. Okay, I'm going to try this one, and I'm going to add some larger spaces. And let me see, I'll try this color and see how we like it. See how we like it. So you can see here that I'm using a makeup sponge, and this is my favorite way to stencil. And the reason being is because I can have more control over what I'm doing. So I have my fingers right there at the bottom, so I know that I am stenciling where I want to stencil. And I'm also making sure that the coverage is good. So that's what I like about the makeup sponge. Also, with my other hand, I'm like really hanging on to this stencil and pressing it down because I need to make sure that it doesn't move. If it moves on me, then I get like a double image, and it's okay because it may end up being covered up. But the more accurate you can get your stencil, the better it's going to look in the long run on your page. Now, a lot of times with the stenciling process, we may only stencil with a tiny bit. It's not like we are adding the huge stencil to our page, right? So we're just kind of adding things here and there that will add some interest to our page. I really like this stencil actually, and I love this blue one here. I hope you guys are loving it too. And oops, this gives me opportunity as well to cover up some of these white spots that are on the edge. These white edges that are hard to get sometimes when you're planning, or you know, a lot of times we don't plan how we're going to lay things out until later. So yeah, helps us to get a really cool, funky design on here. And I'm using a Distress Oxide pad from Tim Holtz and Ranger ink. So if you have a chance to get any of his Distress Oxides, they're really nice to work with. I'm going to, let's see how much more I need. Maybe something over here in this corner, and then we should be good. The Distress Oxides actually react with water, so you can spray some water on here and get some cool designs too. Not going to do that at this point. Okay, so that looks really nice, and I think that it should give us some on each page once we fold this down. Okay, so I'm going to look for my circle stencil real quick, because I want to use that if I can find it. Actually, this is a just a flower type stencil. I got this from Temu because I wanted to try some other things with it, and I found that just adding it, even hanging off the page here, is really cool. So I'm going to use the other end of my sponge. This is called Squeezed Orange. It is a permanent ink, archival ink. It's a permanent ink, and I'm just going to do a couple of these so it looks like they're coming off of the page. Now the cool thing is with this is that shimmer that I used originally is shining through the paint, so, or the ink that I'm using. So let me show you. So I just did that little spot. Let me put this back real quick. Okay, I was just making sure if I needed to put one there. That looks really cool. What would happen if we would do a whole one? Let's take a look and see. Of course, it's going to get folded up, but that's okay. Another thing you can do with your collage papers, if you're like super happy with them, and a piece of string, and you just love them, and you don't want, if it's a master board and you don't want to cut it up, if it's something that's, you know, unique that you're proud of, you can actually just scan these on your computer, on your printer in your computer, and then you will have them in case you ever want to use the copies in your work. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It almost reminds me of a sun of sorts. So let me add a couple more of these, and then we will, I'm not sure what else we will do here, but we'll check it out. Okay, we're almost finished here. And I wanted to mention to you as well, you can use any ink that you have for this stenciling part. You can get stencils from the Dollar Tree. You can cut things out of paper and make your own stencils. You can find things that have patterns and holes in them and, you know, stencil those if you have anything around your home. But the ink itself does not have to be an archival ink. And so if the only ink you have are some of the cute little ink pads you can get in a set from Dollar Tree or Walmart, that's great. Use what you have. So the whole idea of collage and doing master boards like this or zines or whatever you're going to do with your project, you need to be able to feel that you're using colors that you like and that you don't have to have any type of professional colors. So you could use whatever you wanted to with this project for color wise as well as stamp wise. You do not have to have Distress Oxides. You do not have to have permanent archival ink. You don't even have to have purple and blue. You can have any color you want. So this is pretty much one of the last steps that I like to do. I'm going to just let this sit for a minute while I talk to you. One of the processes or things that I've learned is when you look at this as an entire piece, you may feel, ugh, I don't like it. I don't like the colors I chose. I wish I had decided to do more pink or more blue. And you may feel discouraged by what you're seeing on the page. And what I always tell my viewers, as well as people that I help learn how to do this process, that you are going to see a much different result when you actually put this down into a smaller piece. So right now, with it being large, you may be like, oh dear, this looks crazy. And I don't know if I like it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So that's why I always tell people not to fret, because in the long run, once this is folded down, each individual small piece is going to look fabulous, even if you're not liking your original piece. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some pink, and I wanted to use some circles. I'm going to try to use this one. I used this one for some lunar paste not too long ago, and so it kind of turned coppery color before I got a chance to wipe it off, which is no big deal. Stencils are used and well loved. So I'm getting another one of these, and I think I have, what do I have over here? No pink. Well, daggone it. No pink. No pink. So let me think. No pink. Okay, I have one over here that is called Funky Fuchsia. So let's try it. And I lied. This is the second to last step. I just love adding things to my pages, so I get overboard sometimes. Just forgive my digression. So this is a really cool stamp. And this is stencil. And this is one that you want to just put on randomly. And because this pink is so vibrant against some of the other colors, I think I'm just going to use it very sparingly. Over here. Right here. There we go. And I think a little here and a little bit over here. Okay, there we go. So that is all we're doing for the stenciling. And the very last thing that I like to do, and this is something that I learned recently from a mixed media artist, and I just love, love, love this process. Now, you can use a variety of things for this. You can use any type of paint marker that will write over top, or you can use special markers that are designed to go over top of everything. Some of the Uniballs will work. Some of the Stabilos would probably work. I'm going to use my paint pen as long as it will cooperate with me. This is a black one. And what I like to do is I just like to start out at the corner, and I like to just add some fake writing. Now, if you don't want yours this thick, that's okay. I like mine bold and beautiful. So, okay, I think that's great. So that is going to be the final thing that we add to our piece. And I think we'll go ahead and do a quick dry, and then we will start folding, because even though this is a paint pen, it still does dry out. I mean, it still does go on wet. So I just love this. It is so, so cool. I'm very excited how it turned out. Okay, hopefully that's good. It feels pretty good. So those were our processes, and I can list those processes for you step by step at the bottom of the video, so that you will have them. Also, I'm going to show you now how we can make our zine. So the first thing we want to do to make our zine is we want to fold this piece of paper in half so that the edges match. And you want to get a pretty good fold on that. Now, because I used matte medium on this and a lot of different layers, I'm just going to press this down as best I can, because I don't want it to create any rips or any tears. So that's the first process, is to fold it in half. And then you want to fold it in half the other direction. And this is going, if you use the watercolor paper, it's going to be a thicker fold, and that's okay. And then we're going to do one more fold, and that fold is where you fold this in on itself one more time and try to make sure, see, this is the tricky part right here, making sure that all the edges are matching up, because you don't want a wonky, some things we want wonky, but some things we want kind of straight. So let me see if I can get it from here. Okay, I think that's okay, because the one end, when I took it out of the book, it tore a little bit, so I think it's pretty much even. Okay, so basically at this point, what we did is we folded it in half long ways, okay? And then we folded it in half on itself, and then we folded it back on itself again, and pressing down all of the seams. So when you do that and you open it back up, you can see here where you have this really cool 2, 4, 6, 8 squares, okay? So then we want to fold it this way, And I can see a tiny bit where some things are trying to come up, so I may have to fix them once we actually finish the zine itself. But I'm just going to make sure these edges are even. I already have a seam there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut from here to about there. So these should work since this is such a thick piece of paper. I'm just going to cut it right here. Hopefully I'm doing this right. And then I'm going to open this back up like a TP, and I'm going to fold it back. I don't think that's right. Open it like a TP and kind of fold it. How am I going to fold it? Is it like that? Okay, I don't know what to do after I make the TP. I thought this was supposed to come. Oh yes, okay. It's going to come like this. I hope I didn't cut the wrong piece. It's going to come like this. I thought like this. But if that's the case, the pages are not the right size, are they? Let me see. Okay, we will pause on the video and I will be... Okay, guys, so, I worked on my collage paper and I wanted to show you how to make the actual zine, and that's where I paused the previous video, and, if I am not able to splice these together because I'm not that talented, this will come out as a part 2. But, so after we folded it in half, and then we unfolded it, okay, we folded it this way, and we cut it. Now, when you cut it, you only want to cut that first block, okay? You're cutting toward the open end. And again, one of the most important things about the zine is going to be your folding, because the better you fold the initial pages, the better it's going to come out at the end. Now, part of the concern with mine, number one, it's very thick. You can make a zine out of anything, so it's not that I use the wrong paper. It's just that it's thick. And then secondly, it's still kind of, it hasn't cured, so to speak, from all of the art that we put on it. So we have all of that stamping, all of that, gesso from, to the stamping, to the writing, to the, gel medium. So that's all still kind of trying to cure and be nice and dry. So after I cut this, I open this back up. I have 8 squares. I'm folding it back on itself, okay? And then I'm setting it up this way. When I set it up this way, I'm just going to push the 2 outside pages in like this, and then I'm going to fold them so that they're even with my pages on the side. Now, again, this is where evening up those pages is going to be very important so that your zine looks nice and even and put together. And that is just an amazing, amazing process. And then you fold it however you need to fold it. And I'm noticing that I'm still getting some issues with some of the pages being a little bit longer. But you know what? I'm not going to really worry about that at this point, because I will probably let this dry, and then after it dries, I can refold it. But I wanted to show you what the actual zine looks like. So by folding that in on itself, we're getting these individual pages. And if you remember earlier, I talked about how you might look at that whole page and think, oh my goodness, what a mess. But when you start looking at the individual pages, you see a really cool design. So you're getting some of the stenciling, you're getting some of the writing, you're getting some of the tissue paper, you're getting some of the painty papers. And then when you come to this spread, you're getting all that yumminess too. So the only thing that you will have to be aware of is that if you're using collage papers, like tissue paper that has a right side and a bottom side, some of that when you fold the zine will end up upside down. So if you know how to strategically place that so it doesn't become upside down, by all means do that on the original page. And that way when you fold your zine, you won't have some that are up and some that are down. Now, what can you do with your zine? Well, you now have all these pages of blank canvas, basically, in a sense. You know, they have backgrounds, of course. So you could add some magazine images to this. You could add some things that you've drawn and cut out to this. You could add, you know, print your favorite quotes on another sheet of paper and lay that on here. You could do all kinds of things with this. And it actually gives you a really cool base for a mini journal if you would like to use it that way as well. Now, what I would suggest is to glue these two pages together so that you're not constantly trying to fold and refold. And then your other two, I would glue these together. That way, once they're glued, they won't come apart in the middle. But you can choose which one you want for the front. I think this one here is cool with the writing. So this is going to be my front, and I can see the people up here. So that is so amazing. Now, another thing, you know, if you're going to treat this similar to like a little journal, on the uneven edges, you can add some lace, you can add some scrunchy trim that you use with your sewing machine. You can add pockets, you can add anything you want, or you can just keep the pages as is and put one or two focal images with maybe some words in there and just keep it simple and fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. I did, and I think it's turned out to be a beautiful piece of collage and a beautiful way of using that collage. So I'm just going to lay mine out for now because I'm going to let it dry. And then once it dries really well, as I mentioned, it's raining today, so things are pretty damp. Once it dries really well, then I will refold it and I'll glue the edges. And I noticed a couple places where some of the paper was starting to come up. So I'll fix any of those issues that I see. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this project. It was so much fun. And remember, you can do zines in all different sizes. This just happened to be my watercolor page that was 11 by 15. You can do these much smaller and make mini zines, and they're fun as well. You can even do them just out of a piece of copy paper or book paper. So thank you so much for tuning in. I think that you will really enjoy this if you give it a try. And again, leave me a comment and tell me, do you like orange marmalade? Or if no, what is your favorite flavor of jelly? And I don't know if I told you all what mine is, but of course, my absolute favorite is strawberry. And my second favorite is strawberry rhubarb. I had that one time and it was amazing. So I hope to hear from you soon, and don't forget to give a thumbs up. If you are new here, I hope you decide to stay. This is a homey place, and I want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to love what you do and love the art as much as I love sharing it with you. So you guys have a great day. Hope you enjoyed these gems, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.